Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our new edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. We are now really starting to heat up into what is going to be an interesting week of campaigning. We're in a very weird position, though, where I know a lot of you are not Nicole fans, but you are Ian fans. And Ian, who is now on the block as a replacement nominee, he might actually need a lot of help from Nicole, and we may be very dependent on Nicole doing things, and we're all in a weird spot, everyone. Let's just say that.
How did we get here?
That is where we are. We'll talk a little bit about how far could Nicole go, what kind of damage she may do to her game along the way, but also Memphis. I know everyone's really eager for some info on what Memphis is wanting to do in the game. He's got a scheme that we'll talk through as well. Before we get into anything here, though, if you guys enjoy this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and support us further. Check those links to the store and also our Patreon.
Okay, so we'll start with the Memphis of it all because we haven't spoken about him in a while because he's kind of just been laying low a lot. And so he's come up with this scheme where he wants to have a final three with himself, Enzo, and Christmas. But he also wants to have another final three that also involves Enzo and then another person. And he wants to call both of these alliances the same thing because he thinks that it will make it less likely that he'll slip up in this whole scenario. However, this feels like there's actually more chance of things kind of slipping up where, let's say, you've got the Memphis Enzo Christmas over here and Memphis Enzo, let's say Davon over here, and then Memphis is in the room with Christmas and Davon and then slips it out and says the name of the alliance. And they both know they're part of it, but they both know the other person isn't. It feels like it could go very badly. You really have to be on top of your game, and Memphis is not on top of his game.
Memphis hasn't really even been on top of his own just like physical health for most of this season, and he certainly has not been on top of what to actually say to keep people from getting mad at him. I'm still mad at Memphis, and I will say, I appreciate the potential for unintended comedy that could come out of this. Let's say, for example, they named this alliance the Dog Walker Trio. I think I'm only thinking about this because Coco is like right under us. But you're going to have Christmas maybe going around being like, I'm in the Dog Walker Trio. And then let's say he makes one with Cody. And then Cody's also going to be like, I'm in the dog. And they're both going to be like so proud of their placement. Well, maybe not. They're with Memphis. How proud can you really be about this? But I just think the humor of it could be there. There's a part of me that thinks, okay, maybe this could end up working out for him, but I think if Memphis gets to the end, it's not because he's going to have two final three agreements. It's because nobody believes for a split second that Memphis is going to get any votes at the end. He's just useless in the final two at this point.
Yeah, Memphis is not winning this game. So I'm sure that anybody who wants to be part of the Dogwalker Trio is just going to say yes, because everybody at this point would probably want to bring Memphis to the end. He doesn't really have a leg to stand on.
Do you think if we go down to the CBS lot and I enter myself as a part of Big Brother 22 at this point and make it to the final two with Memphis, do I beat Memphis at this point? I'm leaning towards yes.
I am leaning towards yes as well.
All right, let's go. No, I'm joking. Okay.
The crazy thing is the fact that everybody wants to be in an alliance with Enzo, because if anybody's taking Enzo to the end, they're crazy. I think that now, like, yes, I picked him as my preseason winner pick, but during this season, he's playing such a good game that the only person that might beat him, and I say might because there is still enough time for this to kind of swing back and forth, is Cody. I don't see a lot of scenarios where Enzo doesn't win at the end. And if Enzo goes to the end where he gets to pick who he brings and Cody is one of those choices, he's not going to bring Cody. I think he will cut him.
I think if he's at the final three, like, let's say one of the Dog Walker trios that involves, let's say it's the Cody version where I've hypothetically thrown Cody in here, and Enzo is like, yo, I've won the final three, yo, F-bomb, I gotta do what's best for me, that's it, I gotta eliminate you, Cody.
Yep.
Like, he's gonna take Memphis over Cody.
Absolutely.
If he doesn't, he's totally out of his mind, and he's basically become Cody in Big Brother 16.
Yeah, and I think that he would.
I really wish I could see Memphis leaving the game sooner rather than later. I don't know if that's unfortunately going to happen. We got to kind of be prepared for where things are at the moment.
Yeah, put your hard hats on if you want them to go home.
We'll talk a little bit about Nicole at this spot because this is the thing with Nicole. It makes more sense for her game to keep in there. And I of course, am wondering a lot of, does Nicole feel bad that she's going to be losing her ally? Is she worried more about the optics of everything that happened with her laughing at Memphis making fun of you? I don't know the answer to any of that, but I think Nicole is a player who is so used to getting what she wants in this game. Like, she's just done it so often. I think she just has fundamentally a very hard time sort of realizing she's not getting what she wants and she can't really figure out how to change it.
And it's such an interesting spot because Ian staying in this game actually does benefit more people than just Nicole right now.
Yeah.
Because Danny, I know that she's made this final two with Tyler, whatever's going on. I don't know how valid that's really going to be next week if Tyler wins and he's like, nope, and you're out of here kind of thing. So Ian's sticking around. Ian's not really gonna come after Nicole. He's not gonna come after Danny. Some of the other side of the house, he's not looking really in that direction either. And so I get where Nicole's coming from, that she really wants to find a way to keep him. And while she hasn't been pushing really hard, she's been pushing hard enough that people are taking notice.
That's the tricky spot for where Nicole is. Like, this could be these next couple of days where Nicole just sort of completely torpedoes her game, because if she pushes too hard for Ian and Ian still goes, she loses that ally. And then beyond that, like, she's already got Christmas doing monologues sort of talking about how she's very suspicious about Nicole, and she said that, oh, maybe Ian is Nicole's untouchable, so congratulations, we're not off that word yet.
Yeah? Oh, God.
I know. And it is sort of like, well, obviously, maybe you're not that loyal to the Alliance, and Christmas loves to beat that Alliance drum over and over and over again. I don't know if this is a problem for Nicole next week, but I certainly think that Nicole is on Christmas's radar more than she was.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's Danny that put Tyler on the block, who's in the Alliance. So why is it now sort of circling around Nicole? Like, somehow Danny has put Tyler on the block and nobody's really that upset about it at her. And I thought there was going to be a lot more blowback on her doing that. But her putting up Ian, maybe that has smoothed a little bit of it out, but she still put him up there.
Yeah, like, I really feel, I'm not going to say she's going to be okay after this, but I think there's at least a chance that she might not be, the immediate target, because I think some people know that there are sort of bigger fish to fry. It's just kind of comical, though, hearing Danny and Nicole talk overnight, and Danny's being sort of concerned. I mean, Nicole's being concerned about being played, and Danny's like, no, we're doing all right. It's like, Danny, that whatever sort of deal you have with Tyler, there is a greater odds of me actually going and being a part of Big Brother 22 than Tyler upholding some sort of deal to go to the end with you. That is just complete nonsense.
Yeah, it is really crazy that Nicole has kind of woken up right now at this particular part of the game. And it's got to be because Ian's on the block that she's actually taking off her blinders and looking around and realizing what is going on, because she's not wrong.
No. She's not wrong, and beyond all of that, like, if we were just to list off this, she's probably more aware now that Danny is basically a puppet for Cody at this point, and her even doing what she's done with Ian, she's letting Cody effectively win this week entirely. Nicole and Cody may have something, but Ian had almost undying loyalty to Nicole, to the point where it was really not good for his game that he didn't branch out more. She's potentially going to lose him. I haven't heard enough in terms of a good campaign message from either her or Ian at this point. It is still early. It's just hard to really figure out the scenarios unless they can really get those numbers, and Danny really commits to turning on Cody, who is, I just don't see in a million years him willing to cut fellow bro Tyler at this point.
No, Cody needs Tyler in this game right now because he is a big target like Cody is, and if Tyler goes, then Cody is it. He is the big target in the game. So Nicole is just really in a very tough situation for the first time in this game.
Yeah.
Where one of her number ones is about to go. She's really looking at Danny and seeing that while she's close with Danny seems to be closer with Cody. Nicole is going to be, protected for a little while longer, but I think she's at this point where she's kind of like, nobody's taking me to the end. I don't really have a final two deal with anybody.
I think she's probably starting to really kind of be more and more aware of this, because I just think at this point, she's probably thinking, okay, maybe Cody is so much closer to other people now, and she is a winner, and I think that does... Like, you brought up early this season that you should want to take winners to the end because, these people all have inflated egos. Nobody wants to sit there and say Nicole Franzel is for sure the best Big Brother player ever because she's won twice. Nobody, I think, wants to give her that ego boost. So just take them as far as you can. I'm not saying that I want Nicole to make it really far.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody wants to give Ian that either. I think if you're sitting there with one of the winners at the end, if they haven't played like a near perfect game, they're not going to get that title of the only two-time winner. And what's interesting about it in this way too is Christmas is already, she's saying that she's like, Ian already has his money. Yeah. He doesn't need to be there. Go on home. Where in some ways, I would be thinking that it's a good idea to be sitting beside someone who's already won because of exactly that the jury is going to be looking at Ian and looking at me and being like, oh, well, Ian's already won this game. He already has the money. Jessica, she hasn't won the game. Let's throw her the cash. That's right. Throw me the cash.
It's so, I think, true on a lot of human levels that there is that aspect of the game that extends beyond Big Brother. This person's already got that money. And so there is a viable argument to sort of look and interpret things that way. I don't know how much people are really seeing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad that Ian is starting to see a little bit that, okay, maybe I'm really not that much of a pawn. Because it's like he talked to Memphis last night, and we all know how Memphis feels about Ian, unfortunately. And Memphis's answer with Ian's campaign was basically just a lot of, well, I don't know, I'll think about it. I still know Memphis doesn't sound like this. It's the only voice I have for him. And Ian knows what that means, though.
Yeah. Ian is now becoming quite aware that he's in some trouble, and it's gonna be very tough for him with some of the people like a David to try to turn him around to him, because he has had this alliance with Tyler. Yes, it all went to you know what, but Tyler has been trying to put in the work with David again, where Ian hasn't really been putting anything in with him.
I think this is, in some ways, one of the biggest strengths of Ian's game is that he can be very, very tentative. He's reasonably loyal to some level. He doesn't really like to make a bazillion alliances because I think he wants them to matter. But the problem here is that it's good sometimes to balance different alliances and make people feel like they're special. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, we talked in these videos about how David seemingly wanted to make something with Ian, and Ian sort of pushed it off and didn't really give David that good an answer. As much as we can criticize David believing that Ian is a part of the core group and Tyler's not, and his terrible read on some of this, this is kind of a justification for why he's not leaning more towards Ian. And that part of it, well, many things are David's fault, and we have sort of gone through a lot of that. I don't think that there's a lot of blame here that you have to put on Ian.
Yeah, Ian really did only make a final two with Nicole, and then he's stopped. There wasn't really much else happening, and he's friendly with everyone, and he's been as honest as you can be in Big Brother with everyone. He doesn't promise stuff to people that he knows he can't deliver on, and it's, got him this far, but it is gotten him into this spot now where Nicole can't save him.
It's put him in a very, very tough spot. Memphis is now kind of going around and being like, in this campaign Ian gave me, he was really all this articulate and blah, 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 blah. And, he's been faking it this whole time, obviously. So, he's already got the Memphis nonsense happening. He's already got people talking him up. By the end of this week, they're going to act like Ian is like the manifestation of like the final boss in like Mega Man or something, and he's just going to destroy the entire world.
The other mistake that someone has made is Nicole, and she made a mistake by not bringing Ian in on anything else. She has been working with him a while now to kind of realize that he is this type of person. If you watched his last game, he is this type of person who doesn't make a ton of alliances. So if you are in an alliance with Ian, then the idea is you need to bring other people around Ian to surround him as well. Because then you end up in this situation where just Nicole is trying to go around and get people's votes, and people don't know why, because you didn't do any of the work there to try to, have more conversations. Oh, I'm talking to Danny. Let's bring Ian in. Let's all just have a chat. You don't even have to chat game. Let's just all start to get closer.
I think I'll say this for Ian. As much as I think he has played a far from perfect game, I'll sympathize with him if he goes this week, because he will have gone on one of the freakiest HOHs of all time, where he's basically Danny's fourth option at this point.
Yeah, he wasn't going to go. So it is really, the powers have all come in.
Remember once again, everyone, that we were all like, oh yeah, it's power time. It's the chance to really shake up the game. And what did we get from all of it? The only slightly positive thing is, okay, David is able to stick it to Danny, which I think a lot of people kind of appreciated when it happened. But it all led to Ian being voted out of the game. Why is 2020 like it is?
I don't know.
Well, here we are. We'll be back later. We'll talk some more stuff through, but what do you think Nicole or Ian could do today? What do you think about Memphis's alliance plan? Let us know in the comments, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further, check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.